All right, what's going on, everyone? I watched Opus, a new movie with Ayo Edibiri in it from the Bear fame, and it's got John Malkovich of John Malkovich fame. It was directed by Mark Anthony Green, and it's his directorial debut. And I'll touch on more of that later because I feel like when I was watching the movie, I was kind of going hard on it. I was like taking notes and stuff, and then I learned it was his first feature, so I kind of am gonna go a little more lenient. I was seeing some people online who were like, "Oh, come on, it's his first movie. You can't really criticize him." I'm like, no, you kind of have to. I think, like I said, you can be more lenient, but just having no criticism at all because it's their first movie is just not. Also, I feel like as a filmmaker, I feel like if you want to get better, you want real feedback. You don't want people just blowing smoke up your butt. Be like, oh yeah, that was the greatest movie ever made, dude. Like, you're the next Steven Spielberg. Like, instead of just being real with them. Ayo Edibiri is Ariel, and she works for like a newspaper slash magazine, and she's really good at coming up with ideas, but the editor is not letting her write any stories. They keep giving her ideas to other people. Eventually, they find out that John Malkovich, who is this really famous pop star who has not been seen in 30 years, has come back and he's got this big thing planned. If you're getting like the Menu vibes, it's exactly that. It's exactly the Menu. It's Blink Twice, the Zoe Kravitz movie that came out. It's Get Out. It's like an amalgamation of all of those movies, and it kind of feels like a mess, to be honest. And John Malkovich, he's great. Again, he's the pop star that's not been seen in years. He comes back. He sends these baskets to these people. Ariel manages to get one. And in the movie, they don't really touch on that much, like, because again, like the editor he's kind of all like, hoo hoo, he's all kind of like a big, happy, chuckly guy, but he doesn't let her like do anything. He just takes her ideas and hands them off to other people. So when she gets a basket, people like look at her like weird, but that's it. Like, that's the only like shot. That's the only time they address it, because like after that, it's just like boom, they're at the place. So I was like, they could have spent more time having Ariel like ruminate, maybe just be like, why did I get an invite? Or maybe have some more conversations with her coworkers about like, isn't that crazy? Like, how did I get this invite? This world famous pop star who, even in the movie, they're like, oh, he's had politicians and world leaders and religious leaders and whatnot at his compound. And it's like, okay, so this random journalist and then like these nut jobs got invites. I mean, one of the dudes who's there, it makes sense because they kind of have a beef, so it's kind of like he invites this guy to like squash the beef. All the other people, I'm like, of all the people in the world to invite for this ceremony, I mean, I guess it makes sense once you find out like what is actually going on. But again, the motivations for John Malkovich's character are just like, eh. It has one of those third act exposition dumps where it just kind of explains the whole movie to you, like why things happen the way they did, and it's just like, okay. And that's kind of where the first time director stuff seeps in. He also wrote the movie, and there were times in the movie where you could tell he wrote himself into a corner, like literally. There's one of those scenes in the movie where someone's being chased by someone, run into the worst possible location to hide. They get caught, and then 5 seconds later they're escaping again. And it's like, okay, so the first time they got caught, it was because you wrote them into that spot where they couldn't get out of, and so now you had to do that unnecessary catch and release thing again. I think the plot, a lot of it's confusing, which again, that's just how it's supposed to be, because at the end they explain everything to you, but it's just not as clever as they might think it is. Even like when John Malkovich's character is explaining his motives and stuff, I'm just like, okay, sure, I don't know. And even like some of like the violence and stuff in the movie is just kind of, it wasn't really shocking. Like there was like one scene that was that I'm sure like they were probably like, yo, that's insane, like I can't believe that just happened. And when I was watching it, I was just like, eh. Again, I was like, the Menu did it better. They build the tension better. The violence is more shocking. And again, just going to this movie, even reading the tagline, it's like, you know exactly what you're getting. It's exactly like the other movies that I've mentioned. Ayo Edibiri is great, though, of course. I do feel like the first like act of the movie, she was kind of just playing Sydney from The Bear. But then after that, I feel she kind of locked into Ariel, and I guess because that's more of like a directing, writing thing. Again, back to the directing, first time director, writer. So you could tell that there's an idea for a good movie there, but it's just not executed very well. John Malkovich, though, I will say I'm impressed that he didn't just show up for the check. Like he seemed to actually be having fun doing this role, because he's basically playing like a version of Elton John in a way, just like how flamboyant he is and like the poppy kind of music he makes. So I could tell he was actually invested in this character he was playing, because I feel like a lot of movies recently I'm like, oh, it's just John Malkovich wandered on set and then they filmed him and gave him a check. But this one is like he actually showed up for the project, so that was pretty cool. Amber Midthunder is in this movie from Prey fame, and she's like one of John Malkovich's security people. She like works at the compound where they're visiting, and she's Ariel's bodyguard or whatever. So everywhere she goes, she kind of goes with her. You know, when I saw that they got Amber Midthunder, it's like, okay, cool. You know, she might have like a pretty, you know, decent role, but no, it's basically just a non-speaking, just in the background role, which that was interesting, but you know, whatever. And yeah, just the characters other than Ariel and John Malkovich, just all the characters you just don't care about. They're just generic stereotypes. You know, you have like the TikTok influencer, the right-wing podcaster, the borderline harassing editor-in-chief of a newspaper, the shy but full of potential young person. It's just all the generic former love interests for this other person. It's just characters are generic, and throughout the movie, you know, it's like Midsommar, where like the characters throughout the movie will kind of go missing. And then the other character is like, oh, they're just taking a bath, or they're doing this. And I'm like, clearly it's just obviously that it's just so obvious that something bad happened to them, because it's not like someone goes missing and you haven't seen them for days and they're like, oh yeah, they'll be meeting us at dinner. You know, it's like, sure, dude, they've been gone for like 2 days at this point. Like, I don't even know like what's happening anymore. And yeah, I would say it's shot pretty well. The score is fine from what I can remember, but other than that, I think it's a pretty lackluster directorial debut. I was kind of worried. I was like, I hope after The Bear, Ayo Edibiri isn't just getting these like bad roles, you know, because like there are people who like are really talented, but once they leave like the thing that like kickstarted their career, basically they just can't really hit that again. And that's also like mainly like an agent problem too. Hopefully after this she gets some better roles, maybe with some more experienced directors who can get more out of her. But overall, generic movie. I'd say it's on Max, so you don't even really have to pay to watch it. Unless you don't have Max, you have to pay for a subscription, which I would say don't buy a Max subscription just to watch this movie, because it's not worth it. That's all I'll say. So I'll give this movie like a 2 out of 5. It's kind of harsh, but it's Get Out, The Menu, Blink Twice. It's like all these better movies jumbled into one. Now, Blink Twice, I didn't really think was the best movie, but the storyline was more coherent than this movie, and by the end, like the actual story kind of made sense. But this movie is just kind of just all over the place. It's just like a fever dream of all these movies slapped together. It's like an orgy of all these ideas, and it's just, I don't know if he needs like a writing partner for his next movie, or he needs to just have someone else write the script entirely, because again, the writing wasn't the best. The story was all over the place. But again, first-time director, they'll learn, again, as long as you give actual criticism and not just like, yeah, dude, that was awesome, bro. You're great, bro. You know, because I mean, you know, you want to hype people up, but also you don't want to blow smoke up their butt. You want to give them real criticism, so that in their next movie, because like now I'm curious to see his next movie, because this one I enjoyed. You know, they at least nailed the part where it's like, okay, you're kind of just waiting for the thing to happen, you know, like the thing, you know, like in a lot of thrillers, it's like the tension's building and then the thing happens, which turns the whole movie on its head. And I feel like they did a pretty good job at building up to that point, but then when they explain it, I'm just like, okay, whatever. 2 out of 5. I'd say if you're a fan of The Bear and you like Ayo Edibiri, I'd say just watch it just to support her. And I mean, if you want to support a first-time director, you know, it's not the worst movie. You know, there are directors who have been in the business for decades who have made just stinkers, like just the smelliest, stinkiest, wettest pile of duty you've ever seen. So for this being his first movie, you know what? I'm changing the score. All right, I'm gonna go 2.5 out of 5. I'm changing the score because I feel like 2 out of 5 is pretty harsh. You know, I did enjoy for what it was, even though again it's generic, whatever. Again, for a first-time director, and after that statement I made about all these older directors who made shit movies, I kind of changed my opinion in that split second. So 2.5 out of 5. You know, give it like a 50%, which I think is fair. So yeah, let me know down below. Have you seen Opus? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you not care? Did you even have a clue that this movie even existed? Let me know down below. Hit the like button, subscribe. Peace.